Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Pivin and welcome not not on my scrapyard today. Today, I am going to finally talk about installing an Active Directory domain services on server on Windows. I have gone over setting up a client, however I needed to pull that video for reasons. So while I work on getting that video done again, I am going to talk about setting up a server because logically, if you're going to connect a client, you are probably going to want to first set up a server. So as for Windows Server 2008 R2, in the server manager, I have already started up the role manager. Uh, the role installation wizard, which is in the roles menu. And if you haven't prepared yet, done anything yet using the first boot uh, sort of helper, if you can call it that, you can always just access the roles section and click add roles. Mm, as for Windows Server 2012 and up, if my memory serves correct, you can do it in it, it's a little bit different, but the gist of it is mostly the same. As for Windows Server 2012 and up, this is Server 2019, a relatively recent version. Once you open the server manager, you can simply click here in the sort of dashboard, add roles and functions, click next, use installation based on roles or functions. All I have is in Polish because that's what the ISOs I had laying around for my VMs. The server 2008 R2 is on my server that's finally working. Meanwhile, this server 2019 is on my machine is on my PC. Um, so next up, you choose the server you want to operate. In this case, this one. Uh, it's really my VM, and that's all. You want to select domain services, and then move on. If you need any other functions installed or roles, you can select them here. As you could have seen briefly, the wizard is going to prompt you to add a few additional functions that are going to be needed for proper operation. Just accept these changes, and then you just install. But that's what I'm going to do on the Windows Server 2008 machine. However, as once the domain services are done installed, that's not all. That's it's not just install a role and call it a day. Obviously, there's still needs setup to be done, and that is the server that you're currently using first needs to be promoted to a domain controller using dcpromo.exe. It's available for use from a command line or from the server manager. And on the command line, mm, so if you run dcpromo, whether it would be in the link that appeared on the completion on the wizard's completion page, you can move on to set everything up. And if you're creating a new domain, choose this and choose this. But for a moment, I'm also going to need to return to the Windows Server 2019 VM because it's a little bit different, because you can obviously just hide the wizard and go do something else. If you did in fact close it, it's right here in the notifications panel. just click the promote server to the domain controller, and in a moment, if assuming that it's definitely not hurrying because it's on my PC, which is a hard drive, but yeah. And then you can just move on with the wizard. So I am going to create it, switch back to my 2008 R2 VM, and close it out. In the meantime, I'm first going to begin by creating a new domain in a new forest, because I don't exactly have a domain set up yet. I don't have a forest Active Directory forest set up, and well, it's a completely brand new install. So what I'm going to do is click next, and first of all, the wizard is going to ask you for the domain name and the main domain name of the forest. You can put whatever one you like. I'm just going to use the name of my website, just .local instead of just .local to specify it's local. Obviously, you can opt for any sort of any other top-level domain. As far as I'm concerned, that on a local level that didn't really do anything much, at least. I'm also going to set the forest functionality level. If I understand it right, the higher or lower, depending on the functionality level of the forest, you obviously get more functions available, and also also sometimes get access to new features. Like here, if you set the functionality level to server 2003 or even 2000, I am going to set my functionality level to 2008 R2, because that's what I'm going to be using on my servers. Let it do its things, and next up it's probably going to uh, point out additional options, like for example a DNS server, a global registry, or a read-only domain controller. In this case, the wizard has automatically selected for a DNS server to be installed along with the global registry, and that's pretty logical considering how, as it says here, we cannot really make the domain controller read only because well, it's pretty much the only domain controller in our forest, and if it was read only, then that wouldn't do much good, at least. And the DNS server should preferably be installed on the first domain controller, partly because that's just how it is, and Active Directory, the domain part really just relies a lot on DNS. So I'm going to go right ahead and accept what's so right now what it's saying is that we can't do DNS delegation for a server. I'm going to ignore it because this is really the only server that's going to handle this. It's also going to ask you to enter a password for domain service recovery. I really didn't have a case when I needed to use it, but so I'm just going to uh, type in some sort of password that hopefully I won't forget in case if I need to do recovery. It's going to sum up all the changes, and I suppose all we can do now is let it do its thing. So once the server is done doing its thing, I am going to come right back to you to continue with whatever this video is gonna be. So the wizard has done doing its thing. I'm going to tell it to finish, and next up is going to prompt you to reboot, because let's face it, The moment it reboots and you will have to log in, things are going to be a little different. And that's what you're going to see once the machine reboots. So we are back to about where we began, which is to log in beforehand. And this is going to be especially the case on clients, but not really on servers as far as I'm concerned. However, the first thing it's going to do is, much like in older NT systems, uh, Windows NT systems, I don't think it was the case for 9X, but 9X was long ago. Uh, the computer is first going to prompt you to press Ctrl Alt Delete. So that's what I'm going to do with one button. And first of all, the NetBIOS name of your domain has changed to now appears before the name of your account. This is especially useful when you would, for example, I don't know, you would like to log in as your local administrator account instead of your domain's global administrator account, which instead of being exclusively on your computer is the same for basically the entire domain. I am going to now, if I only remembered my own password, that's embarrassing. Okay, so I am going to log back in. Other than that, when it comes to logging in, there's not much of a difference. Uh, the time doesn't line up here, whatever. First of all, I'm going to open up the list of administration programs. I am not going to need the server manager. And going to MMC, I did not ask. Um, I'm going to open up the users and Active Directory users and computers tool. MMC is going to take its sweet time over here. This MMC snapping, MMC standing in for Microsoft Management Console, special programs for managing all things Windows. I'm going to expand the entry of my server, and for example, there are multiple organizational units, which are basically folders or containers in this case. If you ever would want to create an organizational unit, I keep mispronouncing it, but whatever. If you right click, you hover over new and click organizational unit, and then you can name it whatever, I guess. And this box will this box essentially protects the container from being deleted by accident, which is really just if I remember correctly, mm, it's just preventing you from actually deleting it. I don't know how to lift this, to be honest, but I guess I'm going to have to live with it. Yep, I guess I'm just going to have to live with it. I don't really know what's up with these two. I suppose they're just. I don't really know what this word is used, but this is just the basics. Here we have a list of of the controllers that our domain has. It's I think it's only going to be relevant when the domain controller, the count of domain controllers goes up and becomes more than one. For my case, I don't think it's going to be anything more. Here we have a container with computers. Any client computer that you will add will appear here, and you'll be able to manage it or apply policies, which I am probably going to talk about them later. Built-in, so all the built-in security groups, and users, which is really just users. Um, One of the main reasons why would you be here is to make a user, so I'm going to go new, right click, new user, and this window here allows you to give to assign a name, the initials and surname and the full name of our user, along with their logon name and the user logon name. This one is relevant for anything more than Windows 2000, and this one older than Windows 2000. Though on modern Windows versions, this one is also used just fine. So I'm going to use a completely generic name. This name, the full name, is going to be used as sort of the display name on when logging into the computer, like you would onto your own at home, and then set a logon name for the user. However you set it, that's your choice, though it's definitely good to have a naming convention if you're going to have a lot of users. At least this one is going to be set as you type here. No, can you can just make it different. Just, I don't know why would you make a mess here, but if you want to, then click next, and obviously assign a password. So let me make up one here. And what do these four boxes do? This one is going to force the user, if I were to attach a client computer here or just log in from my server, if this box will be ticked, that essentially means that whatever that when for these users that you create, they try to log in for the first time, they will be first prompted by Windows to change their password. This one is going to prevent the user from ever changing their password, and obviously you can just have the user change their own password on next logon, but not let them change their password. I'm going to have them do it. This one, I'm pretty sure it's relevant when your domain enforces a policy that passwords expire. I think this is the case by default. No, wait, you have to set a policy for that. Never mind. I'm going to talk about policies later, aka when I feel like it. I'm really just doing all these videos on a whim, so yeah. And this one, account is disabled. This means that when we create the account, that's what I'm going to tick, when the account is created, it will be disabled. While here in the settings I can freely interact with it, whether it be assign set the phone number, assign them to be a member of specific groups, dial-in settings, but no matter what I do here, really at this moment won't matter, because this user is disabled. So so you can't log on onto the user account because it's disabled. I'm going to right click on my new user and click enable account to enable it, and it's back online. So for the basics, I suppose, actually no, for basics of users, one of the main things I'm going to touch on is first, now that my user is going to enabled, another thing apart from the more advanced stuff that I might talk about when needed, whether it would be the sort of root folder. So when I dive in here, Normally the root folder of a user would be in the users folder on the client machine. However, I can, for example, specify it to be attached to a specific, mm, for the root folder to be on a specific drive. Now, I'm not going to do that because it's going to make a mess. And what else? As for the account box, one of the things I can do, apart from the usual 4 boxes, to set the 4 boxes is to keep the password using reversible encryption, which I don't know. I don't know why would I use it. Or for example, if I were to be logging on and I had a smart card, I can't really demonstrate it on video anytime soon because I don't have one. But if I understand it right, interactive login will require the person logging in as that user to insert the smart card, and some Kerberos related things that I'm not going to touch on top, presumably because these are really only going to be relevant for backwards compatibility. Other than that, I can change the um, user account login name, which I'm not going to do anything with. I'm going to keep it as is. I don't know what it does. I'm going to have to, what this does, I'm going to have to experiment with it, or you can just look it up yourself. Googling is really helpful when you do stuff like this. I can also set an command the set the account to disable itself. Mm, it's going to expire and disable itself, I think. And other than that, we can also set when our user can log in. So, for example, each of these boxes represents a specific hour at a specific time of day. So, for example, this box is from 8 to 9 p.m. at Wednesdays. So, for example, I am going to make it so all of these boxes. So from let's say Monday to Friday, from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And if I just apply it and then log out, mm, Control Alt Delete, switch user, and if I just it's first going to ask me to change the password, so and right now it just refused to let me in because I am outside the sort of boundaries when I can log in. So I can log in. I'm going to log back onto my administrator account and go back in here. Another thing you can do in the basic account tab here is to I'm going to actually it doesn't matter, I'm going to delete it after the video anyways, is to tell the user where to which computers can it log on. So for example, if I have 3 computers on my domain, I can tell my users that they can log on to the computers I specify and nowhere else, or if I tick this radio button, the user is going to be able to log on to any computer that's in my domain. So I am going to exit out of that, and apart from the client computers about which I am going to probably touch on um, uh, when I actually talk about clients. So for this video, I suppose that that this is all. It's really late in the night and I don't have many ideas. So thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, comment or something, and that's all. Bye.